Okay, everybody, we're live here on Facebook. I am Sorana Mitchell, and this is Coping with Parenting in Extraordinary Times. It's been a minute, it's been a while since we've been on here. The reason being, I fell ill. I got COVID's cousin. I don't know, I have a name for it, right? All I just call him is COVID's cousin. And prior to that, I had a toothache, I had a tooth problem. So I just had issues upon issues upon issues. But I'm rolling right about now. So with me is my co-host, my usual co-host, Miss Janelle Hamlet. Janelle, good night and how are you?
Good night, Sorana. I'm very happy for us to be back. We've had a break and we're back again, and it's good. It's good to be here and to be able to share with our viewers important topics as it relates to parenting. As you know, the name of this program is Coping with Parenting in Extraordinary Times, and these certainly are extraordinary times with COVID, his cousin, and every other thing that's happening in the world right now and in Grenada. So we're very happy to be back to share. And I'm just going to go ahead, Sarana, one time with
Mm-hmm.
my synopsis because we want to be able to introduce our guests very quickly to get into these hot topics tonight. So it's show 8, program 8 for us because we missed last week. And tonight we're speaking about children and gadgets, and we're also speaking about healthy meals. And the discussion is based on episode 13 of the radio drama In Times Like These. It's posted on the Child Protection Authority's Facebook page and also on Sorana's Facebook page for those who want to go and listen. But I will always provide you with a synopsis, right? So in this episode, Martin, who is Lois's husband, he goes to see Renisha's non-supportive father. He meets him at a bar, right? And they have a very strange and strained discussion on child support, right? It started out uncomfortable, but then it ended with the father kind of understanding why it's important for him to support his child. That's another topic. We're not going down that road tonight. What we're
It's
really speaking
sad,
about
it's sad.
tonight is yes, the what we're speaking about is the other scene where Lois is preparing to have dinner with her daughter, right? And the daughter at that time is using the gadget. So she's reminding her that one of the family rules is not to use the gadget during meal times. And then she goes ahead to remind her of the other rules that they have surrounding gadgets in the home. Okay? I really want to highlight the fact that that family, they have meals together, right? So they're actually waiting on the father to come back from that visit to have the meal. So tonight, what we're speaking about coming out of those episodes, out of that episode, are two topics. One, children and gadgets, as I mentioned before, and then family meal planning or family eating habits, etc. And tonight, Sorana, I think we're very well equipped in terms of resource people who can speak to those two topics. So I'm turning it over to you so that you can turn over to them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Janelle. Um, well, we have with us a gentleman and a gentle lady. And I know the gentleman is a gentleman, so I am going to allow the gentle lady, Gardeina Savoury. She is a community nutritionist with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. So, Gardeina, would you please tell us something about yourself?
Well, good night, everyone. And
Your mic is you're muted.
right, good night.
Uh-huh.
I am so happy, so happy to be on tonight. And just a little bit about myself. I am from the big parish, St. Andrew, and I am from a beautiful little village called Munich. And I have been working with Food and Nutrition Council for, let's say, about three years, not quite 4 as yet. And I am very passionate about children, very passionate about nutrition and food. So I hope that I can share a little bit about it tonight.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ms. Savoury. And now to the man, the one and only gentleman with us tonight. And we know he is very capable, more than capable, of representing his sex. So, Mr. Jervis Dabreo.
All right. Good evening, everybody. And thank you so much, Sorana. Thank you so much, Janelle, for having me on. I think what is important this evening, as far as who I am, is understanding that for all the parents out there who are struggling to get the young ones off the gadgets, I feel your pain. I'm a parent as well, so I know what you're talking about. I struggle with keeping mine off the table and telling them to keep theirs off. I'm a teacher. That's something that's never going to change. I've been around IT for a long time. I've been all over the place, and now I just make a lot of noise about keeping people safe online.
You make a lot of noise about keeping people safe online. All right, by all means. So he's a safety guy online. Well, we're going to start with healthy eating, and we're going to start with something that I am just experienced, COVID's cousin. Now, building immunity in these times, everybody, they have told us, they've reduced things and people are walking around, many people without masks, and the numbers are rising. And then, of course, as I said, COVID's cousin is around. So how do we build our immunity, Ms. Savoury, in these times?
So yes, immunity is it's a big deal right now. And the first thing I must say is that our immunity does not just develop overnight. It is a process. And sad to say, sometimes when we're feeling the symptoms, we are ready to eat a variety of foods. But I want to encourage everyone listening tonight, in order to get a big immunity, a good immunity, is just to have a well-rounded diet. So you have a bit of all the food groups. So we have 7 on our food-based dietary guidelines for Grenada. So it's just to have a well-balanced diet. So you have some of everything. So not just the starches, the ground provision or the rice or so, but we make sure we have our fruits, our vegetables. We make sure that we have our protein. If you don't eat meat, you're free to have another protein, such as your peas, your beans, your nuts. So just have a well-balanced diet. That is what is important.
Okay, and it's exam time, it's the exam term. Students they started CPEA today. So what would you tell, and then CXC, CSEC starting soon, and all the exams. What do you say to parents getting their children prepared mentally, not to study, but they need nutrition as well? So what are your tips for parents with preparing meals and so on for their children?
Right. So it's along the same line. We tend to limit the children and say, they don't eat vegetables, they don't eat their fruits. It's always a hassle with the children. Them are just giving them what they want. If it's bread they want, they're just giving them bread. If it's macaroni they want, they're just giving them the macaroni. And it's important to educate our children as to the benefits of these foods. I think nowadays our children are different in that they like a lot more information. So that at least that's how I think. I think that they're little humans and we need to treat them as such. So in my instance, I have children here and I let them know these are the benefits of eating your fruits, your vegetables. You have exam. It is important. I had one doing CPA this morning. I say it's important that you have a breakfast and you just sit and have a good breakfast. He had some eggs and I give him what he likes. But I said it is very, very important that you have a good breakfast. I don't want anybody calling me to say you're faint or so because you didn't eat. And it's the same thing for those that are going to be doing CXCs in the next few days. Make sure, a lot of us, we don't have breakfast. Just basic. Having a breakfast is important. It begins your day. It would set how your day would go, for lack of a better term. So it is important that we have a snack. You give them a nutritious snack during it, even though it's some nuts, or you give them maybe like a plantain chips or something. You give them something that is healthy and substantial, not just some tea.
Okay. Janelle, any questions for Ms. Savoury?
Yes, especially when I found out that she was a community nutritionist. We're looking at the times that we're in, right? It's really expensive nowadays when you go to the supermarkets. And as a homemaker or as anyone who is just in charge of buying food for the household, how do we manage to fill our baskets with what is good, but still try to remain within a reasonable budget? I'm not sure if that is realistic, but if we're trying to eat healthy, how can we manage eating healthy but still not breaking the bank?
Right. No, that is what everybody's looking for right now. They're looking for health, but also that my pockets still have something remaining. So that is an excellent, excellent way of framing it. Now, I always say that we have to see how we can use our resources, what we have at hand. Now, we have a lot of lands, and you know where I'm going with that already. We have a lot of lands. I say, I have clients that I see in the clinics, and I say, if you just have a flower pot, that is enough space for you to plant a lettuce bed, you know, just one little lettuce. It's enough space. So I hear all the time that vegetables are so expensive, and it's true. So one of the ways that we can cut down on costs is just to plant our own. I get lettuce, nice soft lettuce in 2 weeks in my yard.
Wow.
You know, and it's something that we try to do at Food and Nutrition, is to provide seedlings for persons who wants to plant, you know, and you get them for 25 cents. And so, and you get a $5 lettuce from that 25 cents. So these are some of the things that I would encourage persons to do. You know, we also sometimes get the cheaper potatoes and the cheaper vegetables outside that's in the sun. And by just doing it yourself, you know where you get it from. It is not, the vitamins are not destroyed because they're not kept, they're not stored properly. And so it's always that would be my main advice, is to just plant your little, just for yourself. So that even though you may have to buy in the supermarket at the end of the month, but at least you have a few that you can start the month with. So that is going to cut down on cost.
So you're encouraging kitchen gardening?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we do the kitchen gardening. We have the healthy food at home. We try to educate the children on why it's important to eat it, but we might still have children who don't yet understand. Like, for instance, my daughter, she's 4, and when she was a lot younger, she used to eat everything. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to eat the vegetables, and I'm trying to tell her, well, it's good for your eyes, it's whatnot, but she's just seeing it and saying yuck. So what can I do, or what can parents do to encourage picky eaters?
Just put it in the foods that they like. No, I call myself a resident picky eater. I have been very picky from the beginning, from baby, very picky. And one of the things that my mom really made an effort in doing is putting into foods that I like. So if it's macaroni and cheese I like, I'm going to get the carrots in it, or the cabbage and carrots, or things like that. right? If it's in the meat, you can put it in the gravy. Some persons, I advise them to just blend the pumpkin and put it in the stews. So it's not that they're seeing it, but they're getting it, you know, things like that. So innovative ways. Some persons, they make it into shapes, you know, like a butterfly and a man with hair and things like that. So even those things we can do and try. Children like milk as well. So some of the vegetables you can blend into like a smoothie or punch or like a popsicle. So it's different ways. You would know, you would try. Maybe some would work, but then some might work. So it's all about just trying different ways. I know sometimes it can be very frustrating. I hear it all the time. Oh, I try everything and I don't know what else to do, but just try again. And sometimes they may not like the food the first time, but if you blend maybe, say like the cucumbers with an apple, or I like to go local more so. So if we, you know, with mango or something like that, they may prefer it with a fruit that they like. So as I said, just make it into something that they like. Add it to the milk, add it to the food that they like, add it to pizza, and they would eat it.
Okay. I have seen a child try to pick out the grated carrot from mac and cheese.
You would get some like that as well.
Like crying
Yes.
because he wants to eat the mac and cheese, but he does not want the carrot. So he's crying and he's trying to he picks it up and he's pulling off, and then he puts it in his mouth and he's crying and
yes. So sometimes what I do, because I do have picky eaters here as well, and I would say, okay, well, I mean, sometimes you have to just bargain with them, and sometimes I say, look at that. I say, you taste it, just taste it. I put some in my mouth and I say, you taste it and see. I say, you're not even going to taste it. And then they realize for themselves, oh, I'm not tasting the carrot, or I'm not tasting the vegetable in it. You know, so sometimes you just have to kind of bargain with them, or I say, okay.
Play mind games with them.
Yes, if you eat everything, then you're going to get this treat. And it works all the time. It works all the time. At least for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Savoury.
You're welcome.
Now, you know, when the mealtime comes around, it's important, as was pointed out during the episode, take off the TV, sit at the table and eat. However, there are many children and even parents, they would sit at the table with the gadgets and eat. Now, that in essence causes problems. So I'm going to go over to Mr. Jervis Dabreo and Ms. Savoury, Mr. Dabreo, sorry. Ms. Savoury, if you want to jump in anytime, you are free to do so. But Mr. Dabreo, when mealtime comes around, let's start with mealtime and the gadget. Talk to us about that.
All right, so I'm smiling because I am guilty of that which you speak of. You know, there are times when I say, hey, you know, just one screen. Maybe we're watching a family movie and I would say just one screen, and then my phone dings. And I am reminded that, you know, the rule is one screen. So I need to leave mine alone. But I think what is important is for us to appreciate that the gadgets, they have invaded a lot of spaces that should be sacred insofar as family time or relationship, showing how important we are to one another. We've allowed it to creep into these spaces, and it is not just interfering with how we interact with one another. So at the kitchen table, it's a family affair. Some good discussions happen there, although some people would say, hey, that's probably not the right place for it. But you want to enjoy the meal and not have the distraction of the dings, the other messages, and so that is coming in, especially when you factor in what is happening on social media, the effect it has on us, on our psyche, on our emotions. If you are you've just been put into an anxious place based on what you just read, then I don't think the digestion process is going to be as good as it should be. So just know that there are some places where the device, it should be off limit at certain times. And I guess later on, we'll talk about places like the bedroom and the bathroom and so forth. But I think it is important for parents, if you're going to make the rule, to maintain your moral authority. So do not say no gadget at the table and you're all over yours. All right, you have to show them that you are capable of keeping the rule as well, of not breaking that rule.
You know, Mr. Dabreo, you said we were touching it a little later on, but you brought it up. Let's stay with it. You know, in the past, before we had the phone and the iPad and all of that, relationship therapists and so on were telling couples to take the TV out of the bedroom because that was crowding the space, so that it becomes sacred again, so that they can spend time with each other. Now we have the phone, and the phone is right next door. So instead of in your bedroom, you concentrate on your partner, you are on your phone scrolling through some social media, or worse yet, you could be having an affair, you know? So talk to us about that. And even the bathroom.
Right, well, I am mindful that it is the focus is on the young ones and on the children. I am not a family therapist, but I can say that, as I said earlier, the device has a way of taking attention away from who is present with you and grabbing you and hauling you into cyberspace. And it's known that whoever is being given your attention shows a higher level of importance in that space at that time. So if you should be speaking or having a conversation or being intimate with your significant other, and that device is taken away from that, then you need to stop and check yourself. So that is along the adult line. But for the children, there are some more serious issues that we need to focus on here. One, we know that the young ones, they love their devices. And if you allow them to go into the bedroom with it, when you are asleep, Sorana, that device may not be asleep. They may be up with it.
Yes.
There is a correlation between late evening consumption of content on these devices and a negative impact on your ability to have a good night rest. And we know young ones, because of their development, and so they need to get not just good hours, but quality rest. And the blue lights, the ability of the devices based on what is presented, the bright colors, even the interactions, if they're gaming and so, these things are going to keep them alert. It's going to keep them up when they should be switching gears and getting into sleep mode. So you have that issue there. And that is coupled with the actual temptation, should they get up and go in the bathroom or so, before going back to bed, to actually check in with the device, which again is going to affect their sleep. So that is one thing parents need to be mindful of. Secondly, again, sticking with the young ones, the device in the room is a device in a space that should be private. All right. Unless you know exactly who they're interacting with and what they're doing, it is possible for people to get some level of insight into that space. You want to know what is being consumed, what they're doing. And having a child in their bedroom with a device that has cameras and microphones and the door is closed and so forth, that can be a recipe for disaster, because they may think they're online with some peer, somebody their age, when in truth and in fact, it could be a pedophile. It could be somebody that is about online grooming, that does not have the best interests at heart. And that person might be able to dupe them into behaviors that are unacceptable, that is destructive, bearing in mind once it goes online, you can't take it back. All right. And the same thing applies for the bathroom. I normally tell parents this. We have a right to privacy, and children, they have a right to privacy as well. But there is a responsibility on the part of parents to protect their children. And at some point in time, protection trumps privacy. All right. So you do not want the child having, 100% privacy, and you're not able to protect them. That is our responsibility. And of course, if we see that as being important to the child's well-being and to our safety as well, because of what can be allowed within the home space, then we'll see this for what it is. You don't give that gadgets and just ignore your responsibility to ensure that you parent the children and know what is happening on those devices in those spaces.
As you were
Mr.
talking.
Dabreo.
Okay, Janelle. No,
yes, sorry.
I was just going to ask, when one is eating with the device and they're not aware, doesn't it contribute to overeating at times?
Well, I think that is a Savoury question.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying out to. Yeah.
Yes. So, well, of course, especially sometimes I find as if the children zone out when they're eating. They even to get up to go to the bathroom, they don't even want to get up to go to the bathroom. So of course that can happen as well, that you're eating and you just, you're focusing on what's on the screen and you just, as they say, chow down and you just forget yourself. So of course that can happen as well.
Okay.
And I think the other side of that is also very real. We know there are instances of cyberbullying happening. We know that there is a relationship right now between some of the platforms, the social media platforms, and depression in our young people and so. And there are a few things that may happen if that is triggered. So yes, you may have a child who enters that just eat everything mode or zone, and then you may have a child who just loses his or her appetite because of what they saw or what was posted or what was commented on that device. And that's why I'm saying there's certain spaces and certain times that we must guard and have them as being, for want of a better word, a holy space that does not allow gadgets to get in there and interfere with what is happening.
Okay, I want to find out from you. You brought up depression. How does that work? How is it causing depression, so that parents can look for signs in their children who are always on gadgets and they might change in behaviors and so on? What should they look for, and how does it affect the children? How does depression come about for the?
So before looking at that specific thing, for the parents who are on and who will, come back and look at this after, I can ask them a direct question. When you post something on social media, what do you do thereafter? You check to see how many people liked it, how many people shared it, what the comments are, and how many hearts you get. And it's for that reason some platforms have actually removed the thumb down feature. because of how it affects us. When you put something out and nobody give you a like, and nobody give you a share, and for the young ones, it can hit very, very hard. They post something and then they're trolled. People come on that they post, whether it's their peers, or adults, what have you, and comment things that are really not nice. We've seen instances over the last few years where young people were actually pushed to commit suicide or to complete suicide based on some of the comments that were leveled against them on social media. So what do you look for? If the child is a happy, bubbly child, right? And that's their nature. It's a nice sanguine, all right? And whenever the child interacts with the device, they come off and they're not happy. They're withdrawn and so forth. Then you know something is happening that is not nice. All right. Things the child used to enjoy doing, they may not want to do that anymore. You may see them being a whole lot more aware of the shape of their body and how tall they are and their skin complexion. And again, it's because of what they may have to deal with online. I mean, we're not talking cyberbullying, but we have to be aware that these gadgets, it takes away the protection that we once had when people like me were growing up. When we were young, you got bullied in the schoolyard. You got bullied in the school. When you left there and you went home, the bully didn't follow you home. But now the bully is able to follow you online through the different platforms, and that can affect the young ones, the performance. In school, you may see that dropping. You may see a level of aggression that is unlike your child. Certain behaviors that just were not there before that are there. And then it can even go as bad, as I said, to the self-harm and ultimately to completing suicide. Parents cannot just give the devices and allow the children to run wild with it. You must parent the young ones. A lot of the games, they're designed to hook you. Have you ever gotten to the end of Facebook? Have you ever gotten to the end of Instagram? You have this infinite scrolling. So the moment you stop, you have that issue of FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out, that you're going to lose something. And of course, the young ones do not want to miss it, so they're going to keep at it. There was a time when games had a final level. You got to level 10 or you got to level 14, and that was it. The game was done. And it doesn't work like that anymore. They're designed now to hook you, to keep you going. That is what is happening. You can't just give and not look back. You have to parent the children.
Excellent.
All right. So, Mr. Dabreo, I want to ask a question, Mr. Dabreo. We're listening to, and we've known that for a while now, the negative impact of technology on everyone, actually, not only the children. But because, as you said, there's no game over anymore, it's almost infinite. Can we control when we introduce the gadgets to the children? Do we necessarily have to introduce it so early?
All right, so a couple things. One, Nicholas Carr in his book, The Shallows, he explained exactly how, you know what, let me throw it out to you. Sorana, no, I asked you one earlier. Ms. Savoury, how many telephone numbers can you call off the top of your head? So your friends, top 10 friends, how many telephone numbers can you call up? Don't check your phone. How many telephone numbers can you call? As a matter of fact, I dare ask, what is your telephone number? Do you know it? Don't tell me. What I'm getting at is this. Over time, we have handed over a lot of things that was ours to do and to remember. And so we've given it over to the technology. And in doing so, a lot about us and what makes us human and how we function. And so a lot of these things have changed. It's not that our brains are no longer as powerful as they are, but we've given over certain aspects of memory. We've given that over to the devices. All
We've
right.
gotten lazy. Use the word. We've gotten lazy.
Well, the truth is the technology, it is addictive. All right. And as I said, this is where you need to police the devices. You need to communicate with the young ones. All right. You need to ensure that you do not just allow them to be on the device. I had a session sometime last year speaking to some young children, primary school, early secondary school, and I was asking about, you know, what they do, how active they are, do they play football? It was in Guelph, and one young man say he bad, he say a real bad on football. I could play real football. So I wanted to know, all right, do you play for a team? What have you? And he started laughing. And another one answered and say, sir, is FIFA he does play on his tablet. And when I asked, he doesn't play football. He doesn't go to the pasture playground and play football. All right. We need to ensure that we give children wholesome alternative that as attractive. All right. You have children who can't play marbles. You have children who have no idea how to make a top. They don't know what a bucket roller looks like. They can't climb trees. They have no idea how you catch crayfish. They do not appreciate hiking. So many of the little things, you know, that keep them active and going and so forth. And there are health benefits to that, because we're seeing children now who are overweight. We're seeing children now who have problems with their eyes because of how close they hold the devices in front of their face, how bright the screens are. I'm sure we have children, I do not have any statistics for that, but with the amount of children walking around with the headphones, I am sure we're going to have children with hearing issues before too long. We have children with bad posture because parents allow them to twist and bend any old how on the couch or wherever while they spend hours on the devices. And there is information out there that, say what should be happening. I mean, the World Health Organization, they put out some information in 2019 that did not sit well with a lot of people, saying if the child is less than 1 year, no screen time. And if the child is 1 to 5 years old, then it should be less than 60 minutes. That's less than 1 hour. As I said, there are voices out there that say otherwise. But what we need to understand is this, that at the end of the day, the research, it's all over the place, all right? Because we have not, in some cases, had the exposure to this explosion of devices and so long enough to really see exactly how it's done, or what it can do in terms of the negative impacts. And my thing is, you have to safeguard against that. Some will argue, well, Dabreo, you're talking about the screen time, and not all screen time is equal. And that is true. We can't just, and parents love that, I'm sure you've gotten that. How much time should my child spend on the device? Well, it's not as simple as that, because 1 hour of music videos, it's not the same as 1 hour of National Geographic, which is not the same as 1 hour doing the work that was sent on Edmodo or whatever the platform is, all right? What we need to appreciate is, if it's 1 hour of screen on time, it is 1 hour across screens. So it's not 1 hour on the TV, 1 hour on the tablet, 1 hour on the phone. It is 1 hour across the board. And for the young ones' parents, you have to appreciate that these devices, if they are given to the children at too early a stage in their development, and they're not properly managed, you're going to have problems from depth perception issues, that's eye issues. You're going to have issue with posture. You're going to have issues with attention and so forth. You're going to have issues with the performance. Yes, they may be exposed to a lot of things, but they will be missing out on the social skills, of being able to speak to somebody, of being able to maintain eye contact when they go in for that job interview, of being able to express themselves without wanting to use LOL and so in the physical space. And these are the things we have to safeguard against.
You know, while you're speaking there, one thing came to mind is that the screen is used to parent the children so that the parents, to keep them quiet. That is something that has been used with the TV, it's been used with the phone, it's been used with the tablets. So mommy wants to maybe cook, or she wants to do the laundry or whatever. The easiest thing to do is just put on a screen and the child is gone for how many hours?
Forever.
You give them a snack.
Forever.
You give them a snack, you give them a screen, and you can do whatever you want to do.
Right. And so let me bring in Ms. Savoury here, because based on what you said, you just gave a child a device and you snack them out, and that child is not going to be moving for the next few hours. Now, I don't know, but Savoury, I don't think that is a healthy thing when it comes to the child's general health. I don't know.
No, you know, I was just going to interrupt and say maybe I should come in here because I see it every day. I see it every day where, you know, what Mr. Dabreo was saying in terms of you see so much that the children are missing out on. Just in terms of brain development and their reasoning skills and knowing reality versus the virtual world. And, you know, in terms of narrowing it down to nutrition, when the little ones by me here, if you leave them the entire day, they would not go outside. And you realize that, as you're saying, they don't know how to make a tap. Everything is, they were mentioning about Beyblade the other day. I don't know if you know what that is. And I said, that's a tap. That's a top that we make with a nail. And, you know, the board there, I said, and they're like, they don't know what that is. They don't know how to play moral. They don't know all those skipping games and so on. And, you know, it's so sad that we got to that place, even going outside and having a sweat. So that's one rule that we have in our home. You're narrowed down to a few, just doing your assignments, and you may get one game, but your schoolwork has to be done first. That's one rule we have. Your schoolwork has to be done first. You have to go outside and have a run around, play basketball, play football, whatever. And then you get about an hour to have a game, right? I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, but that's one of the rules that we have implemented for our children, because it's so important that the children have a well-rounded life. And exercise is a big part of it. You know, you see them feeling they're less tired because they went around, and it's, oh, I feel so good because we went and we play football. I feel as if I have so much energy, you know, and it's important that we teach our children that. So thank you for allowing me to see that.
Sorana, if I could jump in here, based on what Savoury said and whether or not what she's doing is the right thing. Let me tell you what the American Academy of Pediatrics, what they've said on it. All right. They said instead of focusing on the amount of time spent or not spent in front of a screen, the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics guidelines recommend focusing on how much time is spent on other activities. Kids between 6 and 18 should be spending 7 or 8 hours a day at school. They should also be completing homework, enjoying some social time, getting at least an hour a day of physical activity, and getting enough sleep. As long as the screen time doesn't take away from these other activities, there is no reason to cut it out. Now, they're saying you don't necessarily need to cut out the screen, but just as we measure screen addiction, and that is what we the same sort of metric we use. Is the screen or is the device affecting other aspects of your life to an extent that it is now destructive? So you do not want to shower. You do not want any human interaction. You do not want to go to sleep. You do not want to eat. You have a problem. And so parents need to ensure that before the children just plop down in front of the screen, whether it's TV, phone, or the tablet, that they do all these things and get the physical activity in.
Great. So I'm happy to know that I'm on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So how do we live that example? How do we live that example? Because I'm listening to all that you're saying, and I'm seeing our lives as adults. We go to work and we spend almost a whole day in front of the computer. And then, yes, we would have to take calls on our cell phone. We would check up on our own things on our cell phones. And you get home, you might prepare a meal, and then you say, oh, let me see what's on TV. So you have that screen on. And I'm sure before we go to bed, we're going to go on our phones again. So are we overexposing ourselves as adults to the screen? And then how can we be that example to our children? Is if we want them to get out and do all those different things, I think we should be doing it ourselves. So how can we reprogram? How can we reprogram ourselves to go about this thing the right way?
All right, so there are a couple things that I do. Yes, based on what I do, my work, I spend a lot of time in front of the screen. But based on what I'm doing, maybe I'm attending a virtual meeting, I would stand, I would walk around. Sometimes I have my headphones in, so I'm able to go, a little way around and actually stretch, There are times I would stand and I would stretch and so forth. You have to be deliberate in remembering to blink. Again, based on what and look for that, parents, look for that in your children as well. Because based on what they're doing, if you pay much mind to them, you may notice they're not blinking as much as they should, which is going to put some strain on the eyes, and it's going to create some discomfort, and you can have long-term problems. So again, as adults, remember to blink, remember to take your eyes off the screen. Every few minutes, just raise it up, focus on something a little distance away. It's a struggle for me, but I do try my best to self-regulate. So there are times when you will not get me. The phone is in airplane mode and I just would not bother with it, especially in the off hours. I make it a matter of habit. If I get up in the night to check whatever, I do not check my phone. If I have to go to the washroom, I do not check my phone. I normally say, hey, if somebody died while I was asleep, they'll still be dead in the morning, and I do not have the power to resurrect them. Well, not yet anyway. Maybe I will, you never know. All right. And for the children, we normally take the devices and bring it into a common space. So there is a space where the devices, they sleep. And my device sleep there as well. So it's something that you have to work on. You have to remember to take breaks. The mommies and daddies who might be working from home, remember to move about. All right, there are times you can stand, you can stretch. Remember to drink your water. Remember to blink. Watch your posture. Pay attention to how close you are in front of the screen, what the brightness in the room is like, so your screen matches the ambient light. In short, when you look at your screen, it should not be as if you're looking into a flashlight. The lighting should be more or less matching up. So if it's bright in the room, then your screen may need to be a little brighter. Children should not have in-ear buds. I've said that on numerous occasions. If you're going to give them headphones, it should be over the air headphones, where you can monitor what is going on. And even so, unless it's a case where, as when we're working from home and lockdown, everybody's on the device and it's kind of rowdy when everybody have the volume up, children should not have headphones, period. They should use the volume that the device, allows them to have. These are some of the things that we need to do. But for adults, we have to really, really make some effort and take breaks. I have dark periods or black periods. You call, doesn't go. I'm sure, Janelle, you may have tried reaching me sometimes on the weekends or late in the evening, and it's still unavailable. And it's unavailable on WhatsApp. It's unavailable all across the board. It just doesn't work. That's me time. all right? You need to take me time and have the children get me time and force them to self-regulate by speaking to them about it.
Mr. Dabreo, one of the things we discussed a few weeks ago is family time. So the family going out and play together. So in essence, you get to move about as one. So if you go outside, you skip together. So you get the children to move, you move as well, and the children get movement as well. So scheduling time for that movement period in the family is important. And so it could be used to get everyone away from the device at a specific time. Everyone gets away from their devices at a specific time. So mommy is not on her phone or iPad, daddy's not on his phone. Everybody's outside playing real football, not football on the screen. As the child was telling you, he played real football and you got so excited, he plays football. But the truth is, he was playing a different kind of football. Cyber football. Yes, so scheduling time for family period time is very, 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 very important. And as Ms. Savoury was pointing out with our family, the children don't know how to play moral, they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do that. These are games you can bring back by scheduling family time and say, hey, today instead of doing this, let me teach you how to play moral. They might laugh at you and say, what kind of game is this? What are you doing with the ball? Why are you rolling the ball? Why do I have to do all this tapping in the box? Why do but it teaches you with the hand movements, it teaches you counting, it teaches you different things, motor skills, all different things get to play here. So, and then, marble, I don't know if marble totally gone out the door. I have never seen people play marble in ages. The last time I saw someone play marble, maybe I was 6 or 7 years old. So I think that totally gone out the door. But children, when Easter comes around, children do fly kites. That's something that has staying power, so at least we have that. And that again is a family experience. So I think I'm bringing that up to say that we need to, with the whole episodes and the whole shows that we're looking at, we look at family time. Family time is important, and scheduling family time, which in essence is going to take us away from too much gadget time. So if we spend time together instead of in front of a screen, playing or cooking or teaching each other something, that would help with the family unit as one. We're down to 8:53 now, Coping with Parenting in Extraordinary Times. We've been learning a lot from Mr. Dabreo and from Ms. Savoury. So right about now, we're just going to start to wrap up. And I'm gonna go to Mr. Dabreo again, because you have expounded on a lot. You talk about posture, you talk about screen time, regulating screen time, a lot of things. What are two things you want parents to be mindful of? You want to leave them with? I didn't say one, I chose two, because I know the gadgets trying to control our lives. So what are two things you would like our parents to think about when dealing with their children? Before you answer that, there was a question to you from Miss Hamlet. When should we introduce the gadget to children? And I recall, I think it was Steve Jobs as well as Microsoft's guy, Bill Gates. They did not give their children phones until they were teenagers. However, we are running to give our children the iPhone and the Samsung and the whatever else before they can say mama and dada. So I'm just throwing that out there for you to realize where our thinking should be, because they know how addictive this thing is. So that's why they did not introduce it to their children so early. So back to you, Mr. Dabreo. 2 things you want parents to be mindful of with the gadgets with their children.
All right. Well, before I give the 2 things, let me just say this here. I know parents like they like numbers. They want to know how many hours of screen on time. They want an exact age when the device should be given. As I said, the World Health Organization, they've put out some information, as I say, in 2019. We have information from the AAP. We have a research that was released again in 2019 by the American Medical Journal, I believe. And you have quite a bit of information out there that says you need to be very careful when giving these devices to children under the age of 5. And once you get above that, then you need to look now at the content, the quality of the content that they're consuming, the context in which it's being consumed, and not just focus on the amount of hours. So I believe it to a certain extent, this is a family decision that must be made, an informed decision that must be made, because you would have to police it, you would have to manage it. And I think that's where I'm going to jump into the 2 things that I want parents to really remember and focus on. One, that you are the parent. All right. So remember, you are the parent. I have had parents tell me, oh, well, I can't get the child to put on the device. And I normally say, remember, you are the parent. All right. It's your house. All right. You feed them, you clothe them. I'm not saying you need to, say it like my mother used to say it. I bring you in, I can take you out. But I'm not sure that is legal to say these days. But remember, you are the parent. All right. And you have to do what is best for the young ones. So there are times when you need to take the device, you need to put it away. You need to let them know, hey, leave that, go outside. It's what I do with mine from time to time. So understand that. And number 2, conversation. All right. Do not set rules without explaining why. The children these days, they are lawyers. They have passed the bar, even though they have not gone to law school. So just giving them, don't do this and do this, it will not work. You're going to get 100 questions, which is why it makes sense to have a conversation with them. Explain to them why you need to do this instead of just allowing them 100% privacy. So parent them and talk to them, let them understand and appreciate that, while it is a tool, and it's a tool that has lots of benefits, and you can see a lot of good things coming out of it. If it's not properly managed, if it's abused or misused, then it's going to create some problems, health, performance, social issues, and we need to guard against that.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Dabreo. And Ms. Savoury, what do you want to share with us about, healthy eating, one, and being able to eat healthy on a budget? What do you want us to remember from this discussion here? Okay,
so to do this part, let me just read the last message of our Grenada food-based dietary guidelines. So that's the 8th message. And I think it sums up a lot of what we spoke about in terms of the family. And it says, make time to prepare, share, and enjoy healthy family meals. And these messages were prepared by Grenadians. We went into all different clinics and schools and these were the things that our public said that we have to work on for the next 5 years. That we make time to enjoy healthy, nutritious meals as a family. So it ties in very well to what we're talking about today. And another thing, just lastly, is that our children have to be well-rounded in everything. So just as how they would be well-rounded in school, we want them to be well-rounded in nutrition, well-rounded in what they spend their time doing. So in terms of running around, getting scripts on your knees, that is a part of growing up. That is making you well-rounded. Going to the garden, learning about the different plants. And I mean, you can see it on the screen, but it's not the same. So we want them to understand as nutritionists that it's so important that they be well-rounded in what they eat and in their lifestyle.
Yeah. Great. And, you know, with all the exams that are going on now, as Mr. Dabreo pointed out earlier, a good split pea soup,
yes,
anytime, yes, is good because of the B vitamins. It's good for the brain, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. Good protein.
Yes. Now to Ms. Janelle Hamlet, what is your summary about tonight's discussion? Thank you, Ms. Savoury.
Yes, two very sobering topics. I'm listening as a parent, and I'm still realizing with every show that we have how awesome our responsibilities are as parents. And I'm realizing that we can lose our family members both ways, through the gadgets and through poor nutrition. We can actually lose them, and that could actually be physical, because when you look at some of the horror stories that you would find online about children who are no longer with us because of social media, and then when you look at children who have lost their lives due to poor nutrition, obesity, and all those things, it's really a life and death thing. We need to look at it that way. And as parents, we really need to wake up and face reality as it relates to keeping our family safe through nutrition, and also through the way we interact with the world. You know, we're losing our touch as social beings. And I think it's time for us to wake up and try to do what is right. And I'm really encouraging parents. Let's do it. Let's put the gadgets aside. I know we've gotten used to having it all the time, but let's put it aside and let's interact with the children, face-to-face communication. Pick up a book. This evening, I did my homework. I actually read with my daughter, sorry, my two daughters, and I learned a lot. We learned a lot. We were looking through how things work and stuff. There are many books that we have in our homes that we haven't looked at in a while. Pick up a book, read with your family, get to know them, get to know what they like, what they don't like. You know, just touch base with the family, right? And you could always look at the gadgets later on, or you may never even look at it for the rest of the day. So I think it's on us as parents to bring back life into the family. It's not just about, okay, if there's no Wi-Fi, the whole place dead. It shouldn't be that. No Wi-Fi, who cares? Let's do something else. So yes, please, let's bring life back into the family by eating right and by making wise use of our time. Because at the end of the day, I don't think our children would mind if they don't have a device, if they are engaging with the family, because later on in life, that's what they're going to remember, the stories and the memories that they shared, not how many posts they used to put on Facebook and how many whatever. That should not be what they remember about life. So it's on us parents. Let's do it.
All right, great. Thank you so much, everyone. So from the parent in the room, one of the parents in the room, Ms. Janelle Hamlet, who is also the PRO at the Child Protection Authority, and my co-host for this show. I want to thank you so much for joining us and for staying with us. We do hope that you learned a lot from Mr. Dabreo and Ms. Savoury, which is a lot of information, pertinent information, and I am really grateful to them for being here with us tonight. So have a good night's rest, and all the best to your son, CPEA, Ms. Savoury. All the best.
Yes.
And to all the nation's children, do your best. Have a great night. Blessings.